We're looking at the Tucson Military Vehicle Museum. This is the M1A1 Abrams main battle tank. Fun fact, this is a tank that I served on back when I was a tanker in the late 90s. Well, that was a while ago. Alright, so these monsters weighed, it depended on the variant, but anywhere from, let's say, 60 to up to 70 tons. They're officially calling this one 67.6. Okay. It also would depend on how much fuel and ammunition was on it and which variants and so on and so forth. This one has a different model of smoke grenades that was on mine. Mine had a pattern of 6, not 8. Anywho. Just some fun, neat stuff. So we can see this hole right here is for the heater. Did I even pick that up on camera? This hole right there we are. That hole right there. That was the exhaust for the crew heater. So we used to put our canteen cups on the top edge of this skirt. This is the armored skirt right here. You put your canteen cup right there and use the crew heater to heat up, so you had hot water for coffee or whatever. It's the exhaust right here. That's for the crew NBC system. That was the only air conditioning you got. It was a hose that you would plug in. The idea was that you plugged it into your protective mask, and so it provided some cool air, filtered air, so you could breathe in a chemical environment. And when we weren't in a chemical environment, we could take the hose and unzip the bottom of your coveralls and shove the hose down inside. So you got cool air on your balls. I can bleep it out. It's interesting seeing some of the stuff that they've removed or they've modified for display. This right here is where the handle you could pull to discharge the fire extinguishers. In case the tank, somebody was outside, the tank was burning, and you were outside the tank, that's where you pulled to initiate the fire extinguishers. So, fun gags. One time my platoon sergeant in Korea went and got a bunch of cut-off valve stems from old tires, and he super glued them to each of the road wheels. Oh, no. And he had a private check for air pressure in the road wheels. The guy's like, this one's empty. This one's flat too. This one's flat too. Oh, good times. Another time we had a guy, we had him check with a hammer for soft spots on the armor. And so he'd crawl over the tank with a hammer, tapping on it, and if it sounded wrong to him, he'd circle it and write soft spot. And then we made him go to the mechanics and find the ballistic skirt gel to repair the soft spots. Mechanics who were in on it would send him around all the different... Oh, no, we lent that to Bravo Company. He had him running all over the battalion looking for it. It's the rear exhaust of the tank. All the exhaust from the engine comes out that middle grate right there. It comes out this back part right here, and incredibly hot. You cannot stand directly behind it. In winter, we could stand about like 10 feet behind it, and you'd still be toasty warm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We would actually, this lip right here is we'd take our MREs and you'd drop them right there, and they would heat it up in about a minute. They've got the expanded bustle rack. We did not have those. You can see this extra piece right here. This will fold down to give you a much larger bustle rack, where you could store equipment or personal gear or whatever. Mine did not have that. You can see the post sticking up right there. That was a wind sensor for the gun. So it would basically to tell like what the wind was, and then it could adjust the round didn't work very well. We actually never used it.
Oh.
It seemed like it was always broken, so we never used it. You've seen some of the stuff they've taken off. They're usually tow cables right here. We stored extra smoke grenades in there officially. Since we never actually went to the field with actual smoke grenades, we put cans of soda in there. Perfect fit. So these are the armored skirts right here. You can actually feel the difference. You can see how thick they are.
Oh yeah.
So you can see these are thicker than it's on the right side, or the right hand side as you're driving, I guess I should say, has 4 armored skirts right here because there's ammunition storage right in there inside the turret. So feel the difference in this skirt right here.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are just a very thin metal for basically shrapnel. But the front 4 on this side and the front 2 on the other side are thicker to, deflect enemy fire and such. Oh, another good prank right here. You can tell this is the M1A1 because of the thicker barrel and the thicker bore evacuator. This being the bore evacuator right here. And what that does is it basically sucks the smoke from the firing and pushes it out the barrel.
Huh. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so it doesn't come back, and when it doesn't work, the turret fills with smoke and you can't breathe. So the tube up on top is for the coaxial machine gun. Right up, the big one, the tube that sticks out right there. This other hole below it, right there, is for the auxiliary sight, which is basically just a telescope. You can see what we call the box up on top there. We call that the doghouse. That's where the main gun sight is. And there's armored doors that we open and close to be able to see. So this right here on the end, right here, is called the muzzle reference sensor. You see right looks like a little telescope on top of the gun tube right there. And that is so you could bore sight the gun. Not to get too technical, but as you can see, the gun and the sight are not aligned. Mm-hmm. You can see they're, a couple of feet off and a couple of feet higher. So where you're looking at the sight isn't always where the gun tube is pointing. And so it's basically as a way of matching the sight to where the gun was so that you're always on target. In the muzzle reference sensor, or MRS, has like a tiny little bit of tritium in it, so it glows at night. Oh. So you can see. So you can. There's basically a switch that you flip to make sure that this sight aligns with the gun barrel. And it's another prank. During the gun test, the gun barrel will jump up a little bit, and so we had the private was standing there on the end of the gun tube, doing the bore sighting, and a sergeant snuck up behind him, cracked open a chem light, and threw the glowing chem light juice on his leg, and said, "Oh my God, the MRS is broken. You've got radiation all over your leg. You need to jump in the puddle of mud over there to get it off of you." And so the private dives headfirst in this big puddle of mud, and he's rolling around inside. He's like, "Get it off, get it off." Oh, it was funny. All right. Yeah, good times. Yeah, other neat stuff. Right here we got the. This is where the gas fuel would go into. We use a variety. I want to say in Korea we used the diesel variant, and then we used JP8 when I was at Fort Stewart, which is kind of burns a little cleaner. So each fuel tank has its own separate entrance. Place where you pour the fuel into, opening. You can see one right over there, right here, and then here. So those are the front two tanks. Like nobody ever used the front right tank. See, the front left tank would that was the fuel source for the crew heater. So you were
Oh, you
in the
were,
wintertime, you were always using the front
you were
left tank.
incentivized for that one.
Yeah, and then we would generally just use the 2 rear tanks. And then because the fuel transfers weren't always working. And it was kind of a pain, I guess. But we always just used the rear two rear tanks and the front left. The box right there is an auxiliary generator, so it lets you operate all the vehicle electronics and systems and stuff like that inside the turret without having to run the engine. Because the engine, the thing about a turbine engine is it uses almost the same amount of gas whether you're moving or not.
Seriously?
You think your car will idle,
Yeah.
and you're just barely using any fuel.
Mm-hmm.
The turbine uses more when you're moving, but it uses a lot more in idle than like a comparative diesel engine. Right. So here we have the Bradley. This should be an infantry variant. The M2 Bradley, yep. There is a cavalry variant, and there's an early model one. You can tell by the front
Sure.
plate. But this allowed it to be amphibious. You have like basically a heavy canvas skirt. This would be like basically the bow, if you will. So this would fold open, and then you could fold up this canvas skirt that would allow it to swim across a river or something. We
Cool.
never did it. And they got rid of it in later models because nobody used it. But I was briefly on a Bradley for about 7 months when I was in Korea. So they were very maneuverable. Yeah, you can definitely tell this is an older model just on the shape of the skirt, the armored skirts here. Fun fact right here, you can look up inside the turret. Right here, the crew compartment actually starts about here.
Oh.
You can see the wall, and this right here it's just basically an empty space for the gun and the coax machine gun. This is one of those. If you watch the movie Pentagon Wars with Cary Elwes and who's the guy, the Fraser guy?
Oh. Kelsey Grammer?
Kelsey Grammer. Yep, it's about the development of the Bradley, and we say the good idea fairy rearing his ugly head. So right here, their theory here is these were portals to be able to put not machine gun, like your rifle. So like your M4 carbine, in theory, you don't at me yet. So the idea is that but here's the thing: you didn't use your actual rifle. You used a special rifle that was part of the vehicle equipment, and you basically like stuck it into the hole. And the idea is that you can go charging into battle, also shooting your rifles out of these little portals, using the little periscope right above it. Yeah, you couldn't hit a thing, I'm assuming.
Wouldn't that also take valuable crew attention away from?
Yeah, well, the infantry was riding in the back.
Oh.
So it has a 3-man crew, which is the commander and the gunner, and then the driver up front. I'll show you the driver spot in a little bit. But the infantry guys in the back, which would be 6 infantrymen in the back, and they could shoot machine guns basically out of these portals. Nobody did it. It didn't work. You couldn't shoot a thing. It just burned ammunition and made noise. But that's the good idea fairy. I think they got rid of these later on. But Sponson boxes here for equipment and so on and so forth. So we had a crew door right here. They've got this one bolted. But you could use the crew door right here to get in and out, and you can see it also has got the gun ports right there, or the entire ramp would drop down. It was considered cool to, when the ramp was down, is you would step on the back of the ramp, and then the driver would raise the ramp, and then you basically rode the ramp up and stepped onto the back of the top of the Bradley so you could get into your commander's hatch. But cool kids did it. They got a box right there for a tow missile launcher. That was actually kind of useful to be honest. I mean, it was kind of one of those good idea fairy things. With but what if we also added missiles to it? The infantry Bradley variant would only carry the 2 missiles in the launcher plus 3 reloads. So 3 missiles beyond that. The Scout variant, which only had 2 people in the back, could carry a lot more ammo, so it would carry a lot more. And you can see there's the driver's hatch right there. And with a 25mm cannon right there, and there would be a machine gun mounted next to it. That's not here. So the early variants, the later variants included a laser rangefinder matched with a computer, so it was a lot easier to shoot and hit with. But the first models, which we had in Korea, did not. You had a laser rangefinder that was completely separate and distinct from the gun's fire control system. So you could laze to it and be like, the target's 1,000 meters off, and then you use the gradiated sights like on a rifle scope to adjust where you about 1,000 meters, and then you would fire 1 shot, see where it went, then adjust off of that, and then you'd fire 3 more to make sure you were on, and then you would fire 5 to kill the target. So that was the firing pattern for the Bradley. You'd be like bump, 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 bump. That's what it was. Not when you're buttoned up in the vehicle with your helmet on and everything else. It sounded like somebody was like banging on the wall with a hammer when it shot. So there's the Bradley.